Hey guys, so welcome back. Well, I've got a couple of projects going on, and I thought I'd just take a break here. Some of y'all commented on my workbench and the size of space that I have. So this is a kind of a picture of one of my earlier projects. I've got a couple other that are ongoing, but I thought in the meantime what I would do is show you something I've been working on. So I'm going to try to address this issue of my workbench, my space that I've been doing all these videos in, and let's see what I've been up to. Okay, so I have a new work surface. I've been working on this for some time, and let me back you up and we'll take a look at what we got here. So what happened was I came across this table at Goodwill. It was $25, and so it was a pretty lucky deal. It's got a really nice thick top. It's very sturdy. It's got metal legs, and it's just perfect. It's the right height. It's a workbench height. It's not a desk height. So it's been a lot easier to work on. With bring my workbench stool over, and I've got, it's just much easier to work with. So once I got that, then that kind of gave me the, I don't know what you'd call it, what it took to make things start to happen, the catalyst, I guess. So I then got some bookcases, then brought over and brought in. I was able to get kind of more of my gear over that I use a bit more often than some of the other stuff I've got. And I just went ahead and brought it over and got it here where I could get to it a little easier. So I thought what I'd do is kind of go through a little bit about the philosophy of what I've done here in terms of the way that the power is. So everything I've got here in the shop goes through a ground fault interrupt. I have a power strip here that goes right across the front here. This is not isolated. So all of the test equipment I've got will be plugging into this. And the way I've got everything on the shelf is that all the power cords come around to the front and plug in here in the front. So the nice thing about that is I don't have cords in the back dropping down behind shelves and all that kind of stuff. So what's nice about that is I have already been doing some of this, is that I've worked on a couple of projects since I've done this, is I can move things around. If I don't like something being, it's somewhere where I don't need it, I need to move something somewhere, no problem. I can just take it off and I can move it and plug it in where it is. All right. Also, I can just take something down and bring it down, set it right here on the workbench and plug it in right here. So that makes it very, very convenient for being able to move that stuff around. Okay. All right. So then for items that are under test, let me show you a little bit about how I've got the power supply set up for working on, the devices under test. So plugged into the wall in the very back here is an isolation transformer. The isolation transformer, everything that's a device under test goes through the isolation transformer. From there, it then comes up to a power strip I have here on the side. Let me kind of bring you around where you can see this a bit. So this power strip is distributing the isolated supply. Now this has a master switch for cutting off the whole switch right here on the top. And then I've got individual outlets that go down. Each one's got its own individual on-off switch with a neon annunciator on there. And the idea is that then I go to power supplies that I use for the equipment. I can plug in directly if I want to just use house voltage. But if I want to use a different power supply, then they plug into this. All right. So for example, for AC, here I've got my variac. For DC, I've got the two power supplies that you have. I just have them stored back here for now. I'll go into that in a minute. So I've got my, I call it my lab DC supply, and then behind that I've got my higher power DC supply that I use for higher power requirements. When I need them, I will bring them out here to be using. I'm just storing them there. All right, so then coming from the variac, we go from here into my panel where I put a fuse, and then I've got my voltmeter and I've got my ammeter here on the side. And one of the things I like about the way I've set this up is that when I'm working on some piece of equipment, okay, and I'm powering it up and so forth, I do not reach across it to go in and adjust voltages or turn power on or off, or maybe importantly cut the power off. Okay, here I can just stand here on the side and I can operate the variac or whatever power supply I'm using just right here on the side, so I'm not reaching over anything. And then if I want to do something even more drastic, I can come right up here to this master and just cut that master off for everything that's here on the bench. And likewise, if I wanted to, for my test equipment, I have a master switch here. I can just cut that off. So I can do all of that without reaching over anything, which I think is kind of nice. Okay, then the other thing I'll point out is when I recently replaced the pencil from my soldering station, it came with a slightly longer cord. So what's nice is I've got my soldering station set up there, and this cord is actually long enough to where I can reach everywhere I need to reach on here. I'll give you a scale. This is a yardstick. Okay, this workbench is 5 feet long. The bench itself is 30 inches deep, but when you add in the bookshelf, it's over 4 feet back to the back wall. I actually can't even reach it. I've got a lot of room here, yet this can reach all the way out here, and I've been able to use this on some other projects, and it's nice. I don't have to make space on my bench top for my soldering station. If I want to, of course, though, I can just bring it down and plug it in. I think this is the cord for it right here, and there you go. The desoldering station I have over here, I don't use it very often, as well as the hot air station that's beside it. If I need it, I can just bring them down and plug them in right here. It's no big deal. The other thing I want to point out is the lighting. Okay, so let me show you the lighting that I have been using in the past. So up until this point, I'll let the exposure adjust. This has been the lighting that I've been using for all my videos, okay? So this has been the amount of light we've had. Occasionally I've had another light over here on the side to try to eliminate some of the shadows. So what I did was I needed to improve the lighting. So I'm going to cut on my new lights I have here. Okay, it had to adjust the exposure. You may have noticed that the light that I was showing you is completely now washed out. It can be used for eliminating shadows, but it's nothing compared to this. So I've got a light up above that I think they call it a high bay light. I got it off of Amazon. It's 31,500 lumens. So this is incredibly bright. So it's been very nice. I don't get the zebraing that I used to get. I know it was annoying for people where you see me working, you see these dark lines kind of moving across things. If I sped things up, you'd see the lines moving really fast. I got rid of all of that because it doesn't seem to be working on that frequency. So that's been working really nice. And I got another, if I need it, I've got an additional side light here that gives additional lighting if I get a shadow. So anyway, that's what we're going to be using going forward. Appreciate the comments. People said, "Man, why don't you do something about what you're working with?" So I needed this to kind of get started. But now that I've done it, I love all the space. So appreciate the encouragement. We're going to be using this from going forward. So let's get back into our projects.